Good afternoon. Chris Bacon here from the Marshall Street Tenant Association again. Just an update. So today's date is December 29th, 2021. A couple more days and this year's over. It's about just after 5 o'clock in the afternoon. Anyway, this update, I believe I stated on my last update that with the hearing, they just didn't bother to show up. And so even though we had given a response, a written response to that filing, being what it is, and that's online, human rights complaint and everything, we have not heard anything back from Landlord Tenant other than they canceled the hearing because they considered it abandoned. So they just dismissed our complaints, our concerns, especially to do with procedural. Ian Kerr, the manager, we've gone through this whole process. We finally got to the manager, and he sits there and says, well, we should start again and get his people to cooperate, when all he has to do is say, go and do the inspections and follow through. And there's certainly enough information and proof here that they should, besides the fact that it's their duty under law. Municipal Act is non-negotiable. The only way you change Municipal Act is to have legislation. Legislation is there, law is clear. They are rewriting it by ignoring it and doing whatever they're doing, but either way they're not following the law. That's obvious. And there's harm to the taxpayer, to homeowners, to tenant, let alone the tenants and renters. The legal system is set up to, I mean, how can you call it freedom when your hands are tied? You know, if this is an example of that, what is? Because here we are, we went to human rights end of August, even though we've done this last year, we've been asking for help. I had contact with Legal Support Center before as a person with a disability, and they put it through their so-called process, and it was abusive. Then you go to try and complain, and who do you complain to? It's Human Rights Tribunal, right? And you have to have it all written down. You have to go find an advocate that is not able to write it down the way you want it to, because their whole system says that they're not able to, even though as a person, as a human being, they would love nothing better, and all they're able to do is what they're able to do with what they've got in the system. But now they've got amalgamation of community legal clinics, where Denise's case was a prime example. She went to them to be represented. They said, well, here's a whole bunch of stuff you could do, and good luck. So why didn't they just go, okay, well, let me do that for you? Because had they done that, they would have reduced the harm. None of this would have happened. But the reason why is because guess who runs the legal clinics? Municipality. Municipal Affairs is responsible for the umbrella that covers all policing, all fire, all services like that. You are paying taxes for services, and tenants pay taxes because if you have children, you are even able to designate where those taxes go. But even if you don't have children, the portion of your rent that goes to taxes goes to public schools. That's because you don't have a say. But just because you don't see it there doesn't mean that your portion of rent does not go to paying taxes. So the people that are paying the taxes are the renters, not the landlord. But beyond that, is government supposed to follow banking, or is banking supposed to follow legislation of government? The line is blurred here because it appears that they have contracted away our rights. This should be a simple matter, should have been a simple matter of a housing inspection. Actually, it should have been done when they enforcing the law, because the record, which you can see the records on these places, I posted them up in the description parts. There's links to the actual public records on these properties to show this pattern of behavior, which is, we've also uncovered that it's no longer minimum building code, which is also sole responsibility of Ministry of Housing to apply the law. Minimum building code. Instead, they have what's called standard practices. Well, if what's happened here is any indication of standard practices, do you feel safe? How do you define security of person? How do you define access to services? How do you define banking, the role of banking? Because everything here is basically, it's about the money. And this is what we get. And as a person with a disability, as any person, it's supposed to be about hardship. But when you're a person with a disability, especially when you have the right answers, they just pile it up even more and more. So anyway, in a general sense. So, reason for this update, December 28th, 2020, had this dropped off, which is, whoops, sorry. So I had this dropped off, which is more papers from Commissions, on behalf of Commissions Worldwide, Inc., to Kerry Mills. So it's gone from Atlas Properties, not involved, I guess. Anyway, but Atlas Property is the management that the, so Lisa Nadon is who sent this, which is a paralegal hired on behalf of Mark Koenig, I believe. Not sure, it doesn't matter. Anyway, she's been one of these people running interference. Now, the issue is this: Atlas Property Group is the one who's responsible for managing this property, no matter who it's subcontracted to. They subcontracted it to, well, it appears they may have subcontracted it to Mark Koenig. The only evidence we have of that is a letter. Whether or not it's actually been registered as Koenig Holdings responsibility or not, we're not privy to yet. And again, asking to get a lawyer to do that, well, it exposes the whole system, and they're all playing the game. And let me say right off the bat, it's not everybody's out to get you. There are a lot of people in all of police. I have worked personally with officers in other capacities, with Waterloo Regional Police, fire, same thing. I have worked with them in many other situations, full cooperation, because there's no issue of like this clouding it. And they're not being forced because, again, they are required to act in the manner they are told to. If they don't, they lose their livelihood because everybody is being held hostage to this. And again, how can you call it freedom if your hands are tied, especially to upholding the law? Anyway, these are all questions that need to be answered, and especially the level of interference that municipal government seems to incur. Anyway, so Landlord Tenant, last one by Atlas Property Group, was deemed abandoned. So now we have a new one. It's dated, when was it signed? Let me see. So it was signed, it looks like signed by Lisa Nadon on the 24th of December. Signature, Lisa Nadon. Right. 24th of December. And that's on behalf of Commissions Worldwide. It's basically an N5, where they're claiming that, so they're saying, giving notice that you want to end your tenancy, want you to move out of your rental unit by the following termination date, 17th of January, 2021. Reason 1, your behavior or the behavior of someone visiting or living with you has substantially interfered with another tenant or my reasonable enjoyment of the residential complex and or lawful rights, privileges, or interests. You have 7 days to stop the activities and correct the behavior described on page 2 and avoid eviction. You will not have to move out if you correct the behavior described on page 2 within 7 days after receiving this notice. However, if you do not correct the behavior within 7 days, I can apply to the board for an order to evict you. And there's no mention of rent, because to try and collect rent, it is unlawful. And this is proof that that is acknowledged, because otherwise they would be saying, hey, there's this issue of back rent as well, but they're not doing that because they're just trying to make it look like, and let me tell you, the context of this is basically they're saying that everything we've done to defend ourselves, like there are people showing up without PPE and causing confrontation, when all they should have done was showed up with PPE. We show them in the door, and we've done that with other workers in there. We've had full cooperation with several of them. The only one we've had an issue with is A1 Heating, I believe that it is. A1, anyway, go look at the A1 Cool, I think it is. A1 Cool. Anyway, it's on the video. But he showed up without a mask. He was pre-coached, and he came total confrontation, and you know, it's posted. And if it's not, I will post it. I haven't been there for a while, so so they're just trying to use, and basically she did cut and paste of just pieces of the letter where I've gave them cautions. with emails. So they have headers of emails, but that's okay because all we have to do is submit the body of the thing, and that'll be answered. Besides the fact of everything else. So this is obviously a last-ditch effort by Lisa Nadon for whatever reason. But anyway, when I received that, again, because Atlas Property Management, you have to understand the structure. Atlas Property Management Group is Atlas Property Group Management, sorry, is the management company that oversees this property on behalf of the landlord. At all times, the landlord is 110% responsible for what his responsibilities, legally or otherwise, are at this property, or any other property he or she owns. These other people are just representatives. So Atlas Property Group was hired to manage them, who Mark Koenig was the manager, property manager for Atlas Property Group. And that was the one when they took over when we were in the midst of what was happening next door, 108. So they should have done an ingoing inspections, right? You know, I mean, these property groups, they've been operating a long time. They got professional, right? So there should be assessments and everything. So we look forward to Lisa Nadon showing up with, we will be subpoenaing the maintenance records of 98B. Anyway, I'll address that later. We've got, so basically I guess we got till 7. It doesn't indicate any way that you measure whether or not something's been done, but I guess after that they can go ahead and file some papers and try for a quick online eviction, I guess. She's probably assuming because of our intrepidation of going before the board. Well, we've already given our answer to the board, and we will be more than happy to follow up with this one. So we look forward to your filing, Lisa Nadon, Mark Koenig. You will be subpoenaed. We will be subpoenaing a few people. So that will be for the hearing. And if not for the hearing, then we will be certainly requesting it at the hearing. And it will be, anyway, we'll take care of that. Anyway, the point is that Atlas Property is the one who oversees the property no matter what. So whether Lisa Nadon sends me a letter vicariously or not, or Scriven or anybody else, which Scriven is, I guess, Theo's personal lawyer? Not sure. I don't know. There's so many they're juggling so many lawyers to try and throw us off that I guess it's really complicated. Anyway, going through a lot of money though. That was the 3rd or 4th time they filed a claim against us for back rent and then backed out at the last minute because, again, once they step in that room, it becomes real. That is a legal proceeding where you are sworn under oath and any testimony given is liable to perjury, especially if it can be proven as blatantly as this. So again, please go ahead and file. We are more than welcome. Human rights, we haven't heard a beat from, so we will be contacting them. We're waiting till after the new year, but we will be contacting them and initiating a personal contact. See how much they've got ready for us, I guess. Or do we start at the beginning again too? Again, hardship, right? Got to get it written down. I mean, it's not that they're supposed to follow the law to begin with, right? You got to wait till they abuse you, and then you got to write it down, get it in the right place with the right I dotted and T crossed, and then you can finally get the law enacted for you, I guess. Anyway, so because Atlas Property is they're the prime people responsible for managing on behalf of Theo Papadopoulos and Commissions Worldwide Inc. I went to get in touch with Ben Burley again, which was the property manager at the time, and there came back that it wasn't accepting emails. I thought they just blocked my email, but anyway. So this time too, I figure we go online and we'll check out on Google. Or actually, I forgot their number. So I wanted to quickly look it up, and I did it on Google. But I'm going to take you on a trip and show you what we found. Why So this is Google, obviously. And I just put in Atlas Property Group, Waterloo, right here. This is a reenactment, by the way. I've already done this, but I want to take you on the journey. So, Atlas Property Group. Oh, shoot.
I'm tired, sorry. I should have hit enter. So Atlas Property Group, Waterloo. And what do we got? So we got the page come up. And what does that say right there? Atlas Property Group, Waterloo. Permanently closed. You see that? Permanently closed. 1 King Street North, Waterloo, Ontario, Norman 2 Jack 2W6. 519-745-7999. And I figured, well, when I saw that, I'm going, well, let's call. So 519-745-7999. I don't know if you can see that.
The number you have dialed is not in service. Please check and dial again.
And again, I will show you, just, I don't know if you can see that, but so it was that number. 745-7999. They're out of business. They've closed up shop. You go to check their Facebook. Okay, let's do this on another one. And let's see. LinkedIn? Yeah, let's try LinkedIn. So here's Atlas Property Group home, their home website. Through Facebook. Oh, there's one post. Wow, look at that. Don't let this be the Atlas Property Group, March 7th, 2019. Don't let this be you this upcoming year. Call us today for a free tour. Let us help you find the perfect place for you. Cozy bedroom, $800 a month. Not now. So they got properties listed through their Facebook, I guess. Oh, look, they got office space. Uptown Waterloo. Okay. So their Facebook's still going. LinkedIn, Atlas Property Group, about us. Hey, do they list the new contact information? Waterloo. So 11 to 50 employees, Waterloo, Ontario, privately held, founded 2010, 1 King Street North, Waterloo. Takes you atlasproperty.com. Team. They taking down information about their team? Blank. Management. I got a picture. This is Mark Koenig right here. That's Mark Koenig. I don't know if I recognize anybody else. I think this guy came over once. He came over for the furnace inspection. Cool. He gave him this little sign off, willing partner thing. So development management. So they work with developments too. Help you manage developments, commercial. And look at that, 1 King Street North, Waterloo office is available for rent. That's their office, where they used to work from in Waterloo before they permanently closed. Oh, here. Yeah, let's follow that up. Just a sec. Atlas Property. Let's make sure we go to the website. Maybe they've got an updated contact information. So contact. Oh, there's that 745-7999 number. Actually, you know what? Let's call 411.
For English, say English. Pour les services en français, dites français.
English.
For what city?
Waterloo.
You want a residential number?
Business.
For what name?
Atlas Property Group.
A number has been found for Atlas Property Group in Waterloo. Would you like this number?
Yes.
Thank you. Please hold for the number. The number is 519-954-0658. I repeat, the number is 519-954-0658. Thank you.
Okay. Oh, great. 5940968, was it? Shoot, I should have. Okay, I guess I got to redial. Oh, damn. Okay. Gee, I guess I should have. See you in a bit. Thanks. Bye. Okay, so I'm back now. Reviewed it, and it's 519-954-0658. So 519-954-0658. Just enter their phone number, 519-745-7999. Oh, did I enter the start key? Oh, let's try that again. So 519-54-0658.
You have reached a web telephone. Enter the cab number you wish to speak to, then press the star key. Connected.
I just pressed 1 and start. Nothing. Okay, I'm going to try something different. So I'm going to call this number again, 519-954-0658.
58. When they ask for a line number or whatever, I'm going to put in their, let's see, general extension, which is 101. And then start. See what happens.
You have reached a web telephone. Enter the cab number you wish to speak, then press the star key.
Press 105, which is maintenance. Again. Interesting. So that was a call to 519-954-0658, which was the number that 411 gave as a forwarding number for Atlas Property Group in Waterloo, which appears to have disappeared. They permanently closed the office. Now, of course, that could have been because of COVID. They could be operating somewhere else. So we can't automatically assume, but it is kind of interesting, the timing, especially with the connotation of what I've may have exposed and the context, because again, this appears that the government, being Municipal Enforcement, all the way up to Ian Kerr and the minister himself, are okay with the way this is going. It's drumming up more business, though. I mean, now we get to go to a tribunal, which is also controlled by the Municipal Affairs. So if they're controlling the policing and the policing, and it's all because they're not following the law, well, again, what do you call freedom? How can it be called freedom if your hands are tied? And if this isn't hardship, what is? And the biggest hardship is for the taxpayer, because if this is what's going on, that's what it appears to, is government is marching to banking regulation, because they're basically contracting away tenants' rights. And they've set up the whole system in order to do that and obstruct your ability to even have your say in the context you're supposed to, in which a lot of this say shouldn't even be happening at all, because had they been following the law with regard to minimum building code as required, so that we would have actual evaluations instead of all this imaginary paper, so they could inflate tax mill rates to charge you more for services that they obstruct you from getting, and turn all the resources against you being able to enact your rights. At least that's what it appears here. Even to the point, again, Human Rights was contacted this time, the end of August. We asked for help. We asked for intervention. We had the experience with the Human Rights Legal Support Center before, and that was all explained as well. And yet here we are. So the other thing too is, I guess in Canada, yeah, we're harbingers of human rights, but you have to put in an application. Everywhere else around the world, they hold them to their feet to the fire, right? Except for the Crown, of course, because who invented all this? Anyway, what's your definition of security of person? I guess all these questions have to be answered. Anyway, it's going to be interesting. We'll see what happens next round. So we will be initiating an actual contact and see how far they've gotten at human rights. It's interesting that, I guess, gee, do we have something worthwhile looking at here? For whatever reason, Atlas Property Group has divested themselves of their Waterloo location and an ability to contact them. I would recommend that if you live in Waterloo and you are in a property that is managed by Atlas Property Group and you have complaints about much the same that's going on here, please feel free to contact us, Marshall Street Tenant Association, at it's marsstreetass@execulink.com. We'll put a link in the description. Anyway, hope all are well. Again, this is rough, but I mean, there's a lot of people that are a lot worse now, and the main thing is this. Minister of Housing, Clark, and Premier Ford, and Prime Minister Trudeau, and Bartis Chager, and Catherine Fife, you are to immediately take steps to cease and desist all operations with regard to evictions with the tenancy board, Landlord Tenant Board. Because the fact is, you are not doing your job, and this is just a smoke screen for you to continue not doing your job. And this needs a full judicial review. And because they tout themselves as one of Waterloo's biggest renter management companies. And we need to find out, we need to have an investigation, because we need to find out, is there a contract between the city, region, province with these groups, management groups, that specify some sort of arrangement where, again, they're under contract, because obviously they're being protected for some reason other than the fact that they're all not following the law. Again, the people that are doing the job, that are trying to do the job, I'm sure Alison Henshaw would like to do her job, but she's not able to. Her job is described to her as what she did, which is breaking the law. And again, in my opinion, and based on the opinion of the everything going on, because again, it should be a matter of just show up, do your checklist, here you go, get it right, is it right, good, move on. That's how things are done, right? You don't leave things left undone. And you can even go next door to the restaurant they just opened up. They did everything, but on the patio, there's 1/4 of the whole patio that still has the black mold on it, has not been resurfaced. And yet they got their permit to open. And they're serving food out there. But the point I'm trying to make is that the job is left undone. There's always something left undone where somebody's going to complain about it, so you got to come back, spend more taxpayers' money to obstruct you from getting the services you should have had in the first place. It's a vicious cycle. It's got to stop somewhere. But the point is this. Banking is required to follow government law, the same as everybody else. And what you're seeing here around the world is just a retooling of their assets. But we need to do a full review of this banking situation and insurance situation, because these over-evaluations, it starts with proper evaluations. It starts with housing minister. You need to make the new minimum standard is the minimum code as required by law, because your paper is worth zero until that inspection has been done based on building code. And even when I'm going to post another video that I had an interaction with the Home Inspectors Association of Ontario, I think it is. Spoke with the president, and he informed me that basically, no, they don't do minimum building code either. They do what's called safe or standard practice. Not safe, just standard practice. So again, the determination needs to be made. I guess if they consider case closed next door, I guess that's standard practice then, eh? Standard practice is to have someone like A1 Cool here and sign off as a willing partner on things that should not be signed off on. And if you know what I'm talking about, let me take you. This wasn't like real time on video. I mean, obviously there's power in this somewhere, because they closed down the Waterloo office. So here is what I'm talking about. This has been passed just as recently as this March in order to get their matter of fact, we've got it on. Actually, no, I didn't record that one. We just left them alone, and they did their thing, right? But this passed an inspection when it is clearly blown out. It has clearly been blown out, and it's been blown out for a long time. And even this is a big one too. These furnaces, we have this in another place. They're required to be vented 1 foot above the ceiling, not out the wall and under a window where you get intake, because that's what this is. That's what this is. Maybe it did. Oh, there you go. It's reflected. So you see those pipes there? They just go out there, and then they go up about 2 feet, and then they're right underneath the window for the dining area. The code says it's supposed to be vented straight up, at least 1.5 feet above, or 18 inches? Yeah, 18 inches above the roof, because that is fumes that are cancer causing, and they're not being installed to manufacturer's code. But this again, and here you go. It was 49B
Kevin Purcell did this fitting. November 25th, 2015 is when it was put in. So it was installed for the gas. That's when this was installed, the new furnace. And that's backed up by the public records, which are online. Inspection status report. November 25th, 2015. Final inspection complete. Okay, so this passed an inspection going in, but the thing is, like I said, look at this. See? Blown out. And this is what he was coming to do a sign off on again. See, even to the point where, and what they're going to try, this is tape. So this has been on here for a while. This is gaffing tape that somebody used to do it, and yet this passed an inspection. Because it's about willing partners. And we will post the video of his little visit. We'll post the video of his little visit. Because he came pre-coached, and it was strictly to set up a confrontation, plus he didn't wear his mask. He wasn't wearing his mask. He went next door and entered the unit without wearing proper gear when he was required to. They made no attempt whatsoever to do anything to do with compliance with municipal acts. So, hey, municipal people, if you're looking for people to charge for something, we're making a legitimate complaint. Anyway. This has gone on long enough. So, yeah, so it's interesting. So, if you think you don't have power, and that's what this is all about. It's just abuse of power. And stealing people's power away from them. But they're not doing what they're required to. It's a distraction as well at the same time. So it's municipal election year. These questions should be asked and answered. At the very least, we need a full judicial inquiry into what's been going on here, because Waterloo Region is responsible for what happened to me at the courthouse. Waterloo Region is the one who it's a matter of record in the prison record that they tried to get me to sign a document in Wellington Detention Center. The people who are in control of Waterloo and Wellington Detention Centers is the manager at the courthouse where I was assaulted, where I was invited down to be assaulted within 120 seconds. They're the ones, again, we found out that when I was forced to represent myself when I clearly was not able to, and it was demonstrated quite well in the courthouse room several times, but this judge kept asking the Crown, because the Crown is in control, not the judge. Again, good people want to do the right thing, but there's something tying their hands. It's called the Crown. This needs to be dealt with. And I am bringing a human rights complaint against these people. So if you feel you have been harmed by Atlas Property Group, by the City of Waterloo, or the Ministry of Housing, especially when it comes to you getting kicked out of a place because you've been trying to get it fixed and you've been putting up with harassment from landlords, because this is just about increasing property values, again, false property values, in order to increase mill rates for taxpayers so that you get charged more in taxes for not getting access to services. And again, Mayor Jaworski, Karen Redmond, you apply the law as required with regard to the work order at 100A Marshall Street, and right now the amount of fines owing for the daily fines alone on that property exceeds the registered value of the property as taxed at. Which means technically the City of Waterloo now has that property to add to their coffers as a asset in the proper collection of taxes. And again, Finance Minister and Auditor General and Revenue Canada. Again, there's proof that are they making claims on these properties for repairs that are not being done? Where are the checks and balances? The only checks and balances here are the checks being paid out for their bank account balances to keep going up while we get screwed. You know, they keep talking about institutions. We are institutionalized. This is the institution. You don't recognize when you're in a prison. decided, it's a matter of law, that we should be able to walk in that land registry, anybody should be able to walk in that land registry office and say, here's a work order. I should be able to hand this to my neighbor if I want. And he can walk in there and go, hey, there's this outstanding work order. Here's proof it's outstanding. Please file it. And he should be able to do that, but they're obstructing that. They're saying you have to go through a lawyer. Why? Because lawyers are restricted from doing the right thing as well. They minimize everything. And community legal services, go take a look at the budget. Billions of dollars for this courthouse. Billions of dollars for, like, between the courthouse and legal aid and all this other stuff at Osgood Hall or Law Society or whoever you guys are, you're not even telling them how to apply the law when it comes to human rights. There are no human rights. You have the right to remain silent and notwithstanding, because we have been disabled, but we're not the only ones. When I say we, I'm talking about all of us. Anyway, we hope you will pay attention. We hope that you will call for a referendum on whether or not Municipal Act and municipal government and the Crown needs to exist in Canada at all. If she is nothing more than a figurehead, it's time for her to go. It is time that all legal contracts tying any asset to Canada, the country of Canada, not the legal entity of Canada, which is the Crown, that the Crown be dissolved, and that all assets, natural resources, and of every country that Crown is taken from is to be returned. And all contracts cease and desisted immediately by wherever it says that the Crown gets benefit, you replace it with the legal citizens of that country, period, equally. Then we all truly become invested in our country. But what we need to be invested in is our world. And you know what? We need to tear down these institutions, reimagine them. It's the institutions like Joe Biden that need to be changed, because again, Democratic Party, yeah, it's all hope and all that, but it's the same thing you've been peddling for my whole life. Equal pay for women. Hey, let me ask you, women, you get an equal pay? No, you get to go someplace to argue about it. Spend your money, taxpayers' money, or whatever, to be able to argue over something that's already law. And they're saying, oh, if you want to change, you got to go change the law. Really? Why? Here's the law. All it needs to be done is enforced and applied. It's called integrity. It's called honor. Instead, all you have is dishonor and shame. You have no right, even by your own standards, to wear that crown. And Charles, the reset is, fuck off. Go get a real life. Start fending for yourself and stop living off of everybody else, you parasite. Anyway, look forward to bringing the Crown to the biggest human rights case in all of the history, and I invite anybody else to join us, please. If you are disabled in Canada, join us. Notwithstanding, at execulink.com, send us a email outlining your story. We can join together and join as one in this effort against these people. And this time we make sure it stops for good, because they just turned it into an industry. What's your definition of human trafficking? It's a con institution. Time to change it. Time to make one for the people, because again, these are ministers to the people. And again, we are making a public declaration to Artis Chager of the Liberal Party Federal and our local representative, Catherine Fife, NDP. Of course, we all know it's Liberal, so it's Liberal Federal, NDP for provincial, and our regional councillor, which has been non-existent because she's been forbidden from coming by too. Everybody from the city is being restricted. Go look at the tape, or listen to the tape from Matt, the inspector, the housing inspector. We finally got, he was coming over the next morning and literally had somebody standing over his shoulder when he had to call us and say, I'm not coming, because he was forbidden from coming. It was interfered with. It was deliberately stopped because they know what the answer is. Well, we're going to be asking him to do another one. Ian Kerr says we should continue working with him. So under the circumstances, we're going to write a letter back to the Waterloo Enforcement. We're going to shouldn't we be able, if it's a free site, why shouldn't we be able to pay somebody $450 come and do an assessment to use as evidence? Because these people just are not only, the evidence is already there, it's been filed, it's their own evidence. They are so afraid of their own evidence, that's why they won't do what they're required to under law. So the only way we force this, I guess, is what? We do a class action? Do we raise money and bring these people before a proper judge to say, excuse me, here's the law, now do it? Again, hands are tied. If our hands are tied, and this is in a spirit of more access to justice, more equality for disabled and other people. You know, there's fake news out there. This is the real world, and you be the judge. That's what the whole point of this was, to document. You be the judge, but also be the